cancer. New cancer cells will stop the growth of non-cancer cells while promoting their own growth, granting them. Breaking Bad is one of the best series of our era. It combines a criminal drama with gritty realism to produce one of the most innovative and capturing stories ever. It features many iconic moments and lines, such as,
"That's right. Now, say my name."
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
And the topic of today's video.
You got one part of that wrong. This is not meth.
The scene itself is very important to the franchise, as it shows the evolution of Walter White into his alter ego Heisenberg, as it is the first time he confronts somebody using that name. As shown in the clip, he uses mercury fulminate, disguised as meth, to blow up a part of a drug dealer's hideout. This is one of the many plans Walter concocts throughout the series using his knowledge of science, the others being the magnetized van, where he uses a very strong electromagnet to disturb a police station, and the rig gun scene, in which he builds a contraption in the trunk of his car, which he uses to kill a gang of neo-Nazis. Between these two scenes, only one was proven to be possible, as the Mythbusters managed to build a similar contraption to the one shown in one of the final episodes, and the one that was used to kill the neo-Nazis. This brings up a very important question. Could this exploding meth be made in real life, and would it behave similarly to in the show? In other words, is this scene possible? To begin, we have to take a closer look at the explosive that was used in the show, that being mercury 2 fulminate. Mercury fulminate is a primary explosive. This means that it is an incredibly sensitive substance. It would explode due to the slightest amount of energy being focused its way. As we can see in the scene, Walter takes and then throws the mercury fulminate at the ground, presumably as hard as he can. This then leads to the explosion being triggered, as it theoretically would in real life. So far, the scene seems quite accurate. But if this is a highly volatile and illegal substance, then how did Walter White, of all people, a chemistry professor, come across it in the first place? In order to explain the answer to this question, we will have to explain the production of mercury fulminate through chemical equations. But what are chemical equations? Well, they are a symbolic representation of chemical reactions that are written in chemical formulas. A great example of this would be the chemical equation for rust. This chemical equation tells us that ferrum, or iron, when in contact with oxygen, produces iron oxide, more commonly known as rust. The chemical part of this equation is currently correct, but we will have to manipulate some numbers to achieve equality and fulfill the whole equation. As we can see, there is only 1 iron and 2 oxygen on the left side of the equation, while there is 2 iron and 3 oxygen to the right. Due to the law of conservation of mass, which states that no matter can be created nor destroyed, this means that there should be equal numbers of both iron and oxygen on both sides. To achieve this balance, we will have to multiply both sides of the equation. Firstly, we will try to equate the oxygen on both sides. In this example, we would have to multiply the oxygen to the left by 3 and the oxygen to the right by 2. But on the right, we cannot just simply multiply with the oxygen, and instead we have to now multiply the complete iron oxide molecule. The equation now reads Fe plus 3O2 is equal to 2Fe2O3. In other words, 1 iron plus 6 oxygen is equal to 4 iron plus 6 oxygen. Now there's a balance in oxygen but an imbalance in iron. There's only 1 iron on the left and 4 on the right, due to the multiplication to balance the oxygen. We will now multiply the iron on the right by 4 and finally balance the equation with its final form reading 4Fe plus 3O2, which is equal to 2Fe2O3. In other words, again, 4 iron plus 6 oxygen is equal to 4 iron and 6 oxygen bonded together in one molecule. Now that we know what chemical equations are, let us see the process Walter used to get mercury fulminate.
Warning, warning! Do not actually use any of the methods presented in this video to make a bomb. That is highly illegal and highly hazardous. Do not even try to be near mercury without safety equipment or you will die. I repeat, you will die. Please do not try to do this at home or in your chemistry lab in your school. Warning alert!
Firstly, Walter had to have the following chemicals: pure mercury, nitric acid, and ethanol. All of these chemicals are very common. Mercury can be found in old-timey thermometers in many chemistry labs. Ethanol is part of every alcoholic beverage in some percentage, and could also be found easily in chemistry labs. And nitric acid, though not as common in everyday life, is still used in a variety of ways ranging from rocket fuel to woodworking, and could be obtained if a person had a verification that he was a chemist, like Walter White does. The process to produce the explosive would be as follows. Firstly, one would have to dissolve the mercury in the nitric acid, as presented by this formula. As we can see here, mercury plus the nitric acid will then form mercury dihydrate plus some leftover hydrogen. Secondly, we will have to add ethanol to the solution. So we'll take the mercury nitrate, add some ethanol, and we will be left with mercury fulminate plus some water and plus some leftover oxygen. Finally, we can take it and throw it in a drug dealer's den and watch it combust. This will lead to our mercury fulminate then becoming a lot of CO2, nitrate, mercury oxide, and a very complicated molecule as presented here. This last unnamed molecule is a type of mercury salt. Of course, due to the mercury's poisonous features, there would have to be a tremendous amount of safety equipment used during production, which is also shown in the show. There's only one hiccup to the whole process, as this is what the finished product looks like. Yeah, not very meth-like. Though the explosive could be crystallized through processes way too complicated to explain in this video, the crystal would be of a brownish color like the powder, and not white like it is in the show. And it would be a lot more sensitive, since the bag of meth is thrown around, grabbed violently, etc. The substance would have combusted a lot earlier, making the scene a lot less dramatic and interesting. But in conclusion, the aim of the makers of Breaking Bad to depict gritty reality has actually been fulfilled to a tremendous extent. The way they thought of everything from the availability of the materials to fashion such an explosive, to the chemistry that went into making it, and even the safety equipment that was used, are all on point. Sure, the mercury fulminate is not as pretty in real life as it is on camera, but great directors such as Vince Gilligan have to trade some reality for the sake of better storytelling, since reality tends to be pretty dull. So next time Walter White tells you,
Because I say so.
you listen.